Well, David, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting
My
with
pleasure,
me.
Dave. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And we really appreciate having Wix here at the conference. And I just thought for our audience, maybe you could go through what exactly Wix is.
Okay, so basically Wix is a website building platform. We are now actually the largest one in the world, with the exception of maybe WordPress. 35 million websites were built with Wix already. 1.2 million websites are being built with Wix every month. But actually that's not why we're here. We are here because 6 months ago we launched an app market that basically allows any web developer to take their existing web application, or anyone who creates a new web application, and by using our new SDK, integrate it into the Wix environment. For us it's a great thing. It allows us to extend the features of Wix basically endlessly, and use the innovation and development powers of the developers community around there and of third-party parties around. And from developers and third parties aspect, that's a good thing, because we are probably today the best distribution channel for web applications because we have so many people building websites with Wix.
And so is that like a plugin architecture or more of like an app architecture?
Well, it's a good question what a plugin and app architecture is. It's basically, from a technical perspective, it's built on an iframe basis. So basically, it is an iframe. It is served from our partners or from the developers' servers. But it has things that allow you to do things that are more than an iframe, such as an SEO endpoint that hooks up to the SEO of the Wix website, or the ability to add deep linking into your applications. If you do a blog as an example, you can do a link and the URL for every specific post inside your web application. So it's an iframe and more.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you're building this platform, and Tim Berners-Lee recently gave this talk at South by Southwest where he was talking about how platforms are so important to the web and to humanity in general, because people can use them to have like great impacts on society. And so, okay, maybe this is a little bit of a hyperbolic question, but what impact do you see Wix's platform having?
Well, I think it has several layers. In the first layer, I think Wix has a huge impact on the way people create websites today. It's kind of a silent revolution, because until Wix showed up, you had two options. Either you were technical, and you were programming your website or using tools that do require some kind of technical abilities, and WordPress would be a good example for that. Or you had these tools where you had these basic slots and you would drop things into these slots and everything would look like it was created with a tool. Now for a small business, both these options are not that good. Hiring someone to do your website is very, very expensive sometimes. And even if not, people who start new businesses are low on budget. And on the other hand, you do want to look really sharp. You don't want to look as if you've been using a cheap tool. And I think Wix, by presenting a platform to the world that allow you to do that, have made some kind of a change. We have been trying to do more or less the same change now with the app market. We have tried to build a platform that allows you with a minimal effort to take your existing web application, or with a minimal effort create an existing application. You don't have to change the tools you're working on, the platforms you're used to working. You like to do it in Ruby, do it in Ruby. You like to do it in Google App Engine, do it in Google App Engine. You like to do it in PHP, do it in PHP. Do it on whatever tool you like. What we will allow you to do is pass the challenge that developers are confronting today when they do apps, which is how to get their apps to large crowd and how to monetize their apps. Because if you're going today to the most common platforms, like iOS or Android and such things, it's winning the lottery basically. Even if you do a good app, your chances of succeeding are slim. We want to give the opportunity for someone, if he or she do a good app, to be exposed to 4 million people every month and let them choose. And I think ourselves, as well as any new market out there that has large crowd of people, and allow people to do this, will make a difference in this very crowded space of building applications today.
That's really cool. I'm actually a Drupal developer.
Okay.
So, you know, we have sort of like a similar thing, but without any monetary incentive behind it, right?
Yeah.
And it's fairly popular, but of course the market for Drupal websites is much smaller.
I think, but I think yes, the places like Wix, like WordPress, like Drupal, like Joomla, and you know what? Even in a sense like Windows 8 of Microsoft, places that are not yet super crowded, that not everybody goes to. And I think that web applications, in a sense, as compared to mobile applications as well, are giving, I think, rethinking a bit the way we do apps and considering changing the crowd. Small businesses, not only consumers or enterprises. Changing the markets, places like WordPress or Joomla or Wix. And also changing your business model, maybe consider it instead of one-time payment, monthly recurring. And I think that giving platforms that allows for this flexibility, for this change, for this paradigm shift is really cool.
Which is exactly what I like as a Drupal developer. You mentioned small business, right? And I mean, you know, building a website or hiring a developer to build a website for a small business a lot of times is not what a small business wants, and it's also not really what the developer wants sometimes. As soon as you start getting into security updates and maintainability and just explaining that to somebody, having a platform where they can actually, you know, add these components themselves it's awesome to me.
I can tell you on a personal level that I love Drupal.
Yeah.
Again, building something with Drupal do require you to be technical. The advantage of Wix is that you don't have to be technical.
I know,
but yet,
it's kind of a pain.
Even that, I think that many people who start developing on the Drupal platform I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, and speaking of the platform, in addition to the platform, you mentioned the app market. You also have this HTML5 editor.
Yes.
I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about each of those.
Well, yeah, the HTML5 editor is basically, well, Wix started as Flash. In those days, in those days, Flash was a big thing. You know? One of the challenges developers confront is being able to fit to each and every browser. And that's a challenge we confront as well in Wix. And Flash basically solved this for us. I'm talking about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Because everybody had Flash.
That's why it was so popular.
But then came the change, and people started using all these weird devices that don't support Flash anymore. And for a company, and we had large audience at the time already. It's not 35 million as we had today, but we had like 15 million people using Wix, 20 million people using Wix. And as a company that was starting growing up, not a small startup anymore, doing this change for HTML5 wasn't an easy thing. And I must tell you that it ended up to be an extremely rewarding experience.
Oh, good.
All the company was recruited to do this change. We've done it very quickly. We were able to present not only an editor that is in the same level of our Flash editor that was there for years, we've been able to present an editor that is much better. And the first thing we did after we entered this HTML5 world is we said, you know, this would be a right time, first of all, to do something that will be as big as and as innovative. For us as a company, like, we don't like doing the same things again and again and again and again. So we have this cool HTML5 editor. What's next? And the next big thing was, and we thought, what is the problem we're having? And the basic problem we had is that our amount of developers, as well as our amount of innovation, is limited. And we wanted to use and to open Wix, basically. Well, we're not open source per se, but we wanted to open Wix for external developers. We wanted to open Wix for third parties. We wanted to open Wix a bit more to this world and use the innovation and development power of this huge community and those partners around there. And then we started building that market.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is stuff that we're talking about that you've just rolled out in the last few months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is your strategy with sort of this continuous development methodology?
Well, you know, basically there is, and I hope I will say it right in English because English is not my birth tongue. There is this part in this, in Alice in Wonderland, and she meets the Queen, and the Queen tells her, in order to stay in one place in my world, you have to run as fast as you can. If you want to get anywhere, better run double speed. And more or less the world we are at is like development the world of development is more or less like that. We became leaders in this world of website building platforms only recently. We grew up very, very quickly. And I think that in order to maintain this position and in order to continue and serve our customers the best we can, and our partners and developers who come to develop now in the app market, we need to run as fast as we can. So we're planning exciting and revolutionary things, just like we did with the app market and with the HTML5 editor. We intend, you know, Wix is a true absolute positioning type of platform. And yet we are up to the challenge of doing responsive design for the mobile world. And basically on every screen size, the website of our users will look good, including finding good solutions for applications our partners are developing right now and independent developers are doing now for the mobile world. So that's one thing that we're trying to do right now. We are working on additional offerings on our API. The three most exciting things I see coming up with our API and SDK in the near future is, one, we're going to allow our developers to hook up to our styles and our colors. So basically the application will inherit the color and styles of the template, which will be very cool for the users and very effective for the developer. Second thing we're working on something we call the back office API. So far it was just becoming part of the Wix editor, if you were a developer and adding application to the Wix platform. Now we want people who have services that can fit our small business customers, but are not part of the website per se, such as financial services or marketing tools or CRM tools or basically anything, to be hooked up to the Wix platform now. So we'll open an endpoint inside our My Account area as well. And that's an exciting thing that's coming up basically in 3 or 4 weeks. And eventually we would like to offer API that will allow any developer that hooks up to the Wix environment, every application inside the Wix SDK and API environment, to talk to any other application inside the Wix environment and SDK. So if an e-commerce application does a purchase, the CRM application will know about that immediately as an event that's coming up. So these are 3 cool things we're working on at the moment, and we are committed. We are a technological company, basically. We have lots of developers and lots of product managers to find things for them to do. So innovation is kind of in our DNA. Otherwise, everybody will be bored and like leave. So,
well, awesome. Yeah. That sounds really cool. I just want to thank you again.
Thank you, Dave. It's been fun.
Awesome. And I apologize to everyone in the audience for mentioning Drupal so much.